What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt Field with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Shakur Stevenson. Vasily Lomachenko, get this, two-time champion says he offered Lomachenko a career highest purse, and it was turned down. Then on a recent edition of $1 Million Worth of Game, Shakur Stevenson put Loma on blast for electing not to fight him for the WBC lightweight world title. He said Lomachenko was offered the most money in his career to fight me. Why not fight me? Towards the end of your career, why not take the most money to a fight in one of the biggest fights in boxing? Why not? Okay. Of course, Lomachenko's team has said otherwise, and let me counterpunch. Keywords I think of. Loma fighting Shakur Stevenson would be a very good fight, but the key word is at the end of his career. And I've always said this. I say the same thing about Vasily. I say the same thing about Canelo. Those guys can only, even Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, those guys will not fight the same way forever. You know, you have very rare fighters that can keep up the output, the reflexes, the performance, keep the result of winning the way they normally do constantly. You know what I mean? That's just, even Floyd had to make adjustments. He didn't throw that many punches. He more or less preserved himself. So did Bernard Hopkins. You know what I mean? But those are rare people. Those are guys that don't drink or don't smoke. They have a healthy resume. They do things on, in their own mind. They don't let substance abuse and all this shit come into the forefront. Not saying Vasily does. But what I'm saying, based on his, I think his style, I think it's natural wear and tear on his body. Now, should he have fought Shakur Stevenson if he still wants to be a major player? Of course he would. But what was the reason that his team said that they didn't? He said Lomachenko's team announced that he would be taking the fight, that he would not be taking the fight, and that he planned to take a break from the sport following his defeat to Devin Haney back in May. Well, my counterpunch to that, if Vasily Lomachenko's team has any plans to do that, okay, I think what they need to do, just need to retire. You know what I mean? He could always, inform Ring Magazine and all these things that he must do, if he wants to come back. But he's 35 years old. He's a two-time Olympic gold champion. And I think, I know in the Ukraine, professional boxing is nothing compared to amateur boxing. So once you win the Olympics is considered the pinnacle. And then professional is everything else that you do after that fact. But that is the rising climax of their career, is the Olympics. That's why I think he did two of them. Okay, he did it 2 times. So if he retires, he retires. But, someone fresh and sharp as Shakur Stevenson right now would beat Loma. And, I would watch the fight, but I wouldn't really be that interested into seeing a younger, fresher guy, probably more than likely more hungrier, beat up on an older guy that was once upon a time the shit. I just don't like that idea. That's almost to me like Rocky Marciano fighting Joe Louis. You know what I mean? Or Larry Holmes fighting Muhammad Ali. Or even Oscar De La Hoya fighting Julio Cesar Chavez. 1 and 2. I don't see the relevance in that. And I think that would just be a ploy. And I think maybe Vasily Lomachenko figured this out. Well, maybe, just maybe, Shakur Stevenson, and his team offered that amount of money based on the fact that they wanted to get him in the ring just to get his name on the resume, because he's not the same dude that he was 3 or 4 years ago, or even 2 or 3. Even though he's a good fighter, I think he will always make a pretty good account of himself. But that doesn't mean, based on the ability that he has now, is really guaranteed to win fights. Obviously not, because a lot of people thought he beat Devin Haney. And guess what? He lost the decision and he cried and shit. And he was all heartbroken because his son wanted him to win and all that. Let's look at this like this, man. You got a guy like Vasily Lomachenko. His second fight, he lost to a guy that's a cheating bastard, Orlando Salido. He threw so many ball-busting shots, he had Lomachenko really worried about his junk down there. Well, I'm going to tell you this. I think what's happened with Lomachenko, the break he's talking about, I think that's a sign of frustration and really him being bitter about the sport. You know, hey, a lot of fighters have went through that, man. Pernell Whitaker went through it in the 90s through the 2000s. Well, really in the 90s. Edis Landilado went through that same thing. He could never win fights and people would rob him and shit. Now Vasily Lomachenko, you know, I think he's feeling the way, and I think he's feeling really unappreciated. And when you get to the point you feel unappreciated, you do get bitter. So I think that's his response, and I think he thinks about that, you know, fighting someone like Shakur Stevenson, which more than likely, regarded by most, is technically a lot gifted or more gifted than Devin Haney. So if you felt you beat Devin Haney and you didn't get a fair shake, what do you think is going to happen when you get in there with Shakur Stevenson that's probably even better than Devin Haney? But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Shakur Stevenson revealing that Vasily Lomachenko turned down the highest fight purse ever to fight him in his career. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!